There are lots of reasons people don't ever achieve their goals, and there's one reason that overarches all of them. That's a reason I want to help you break through today. See, when it boils down to it, the difference between where you are and where you want to be is just a set of steps. And when you execute those steps correctly, you can take yourself from where you are right now to the future you long for so much. The problem is, a lot of those steps are scary, and this is why so many people don't take them. Fear is the word we're talking about today, and it's the word we're going to help you conquer right now. I have a very simple framework that I use to conquer fear pretty much every time. I want to tell you a quick story first as to how badly fear can cripple you, paralyze you, and stop you getting where you need to go. When I was in high school, or college as I think Americans call it, I was very focused on two things. Number one was video games, obviously, and number two was studying. What I didn't admit to myself though is number three. I also was interested in women. Crazy, I know. 17, 18-year-old starts to get interested in women. Wild. The problem was, these first two I was pretty damn good at. I played a lot of video games, I studied a lot, I was pretty good at school. But the third one mystified me. And the reason it stayed so alien to me is because, like every 17 and 18-year-old, I was deathly afraid of talking to women. This meant that throughout high school, I didn't talk to pretty much any women unless they talked to me. And even then it was very conversational. It was never like, I never had any kind of intimate relationship with a woman until much later on. I would see a girl that I found attractive or I wanted to talk to, and inside I would have this paralyzing sense of fear and anxiety that would stop me ever considering going and talking to them. That's why I say that the only women I talked to would actually have to come and talk to me, because I would never put myself out there. I was way too afraid. It was far too scary for me, right? All I'd think about is what could go wrong, how I'd embarrass myself, what they might think of me, all sorts. I remember I was in a mall once and quite a pretty girl sort of looked over at me. As an adult now, I know she was probably interested in me. But at the time, and I got so anxious, I physically had to get up and leave the store, which just seems crazy to me now that fear would literally drive me away from something that I wanted so badly. Fast forward when I went to university, I took on a bit of a new persona at university. I decided to become someone who was more confident, more outgoing, actually went for what he wanted in life. And that meant talking to women. The good thing about university is there's women everywhere, and a lot of them come and talk to you. So as I started interacting with more girls, realizing just how great it was to have some feminine energy in a conversation for once, it struck me just how much of life I'd been missing out on purely because of a little tightness and awkwardness in my stomach. I was a little bit afraid, therefore I was missing out on basically half of life. Half of the people you meet are women, right? So by not talking to them because you're too afraid, you're missing out on half of life. It struck me then just how important it is not to let fear guide your decisions, especially with big decisions like that. What's my end outcome? I'm so afraid I'm just never gonna talk to a woman. It doesn't make sense. So because of this, I developed a bit of an addiction to conquering fear and moving towards fear instead of running away from it, purely because I became more afraid of missing out on what I might have than I was of embarrassing myself or feeling a little bit awkward or being a little bit afraid and nervous. Because chances are the things that you want are on the other side of fear. And something I've learned as I've gotten older is the feeling of fear never really goes away. You just get braver. You just get more used to dealing with it. So now if I see an attractive woman, I'll still feel a little bit of nervousness, but I'm a lot more likely to go and speak to her than I was when I was 18. Well, because then the chance was zero. It was not happening. I would leave the building as opposed to talking to her. But what about a practical framework that can help you? Because it's all good saying, oh, don't let fear hold you back. But in the moment, when you feel that tightness and tenseness and awkwardness in your stomach, a lot of people can't just snap their fingers and ignore it. Typically, even as you don't let fear hold you back and you go and do the thing, you'll still feel the fear and awkwardness for most of the time. You've almost got to put it to the sideline in your mind, knowing it's still going to be there, and then do it anyway. My method for this I got from someone called Steve-O from Jackass. I've made a video about this before, but it's so important it's worth talking about again. He has the 3-2-1 method, where if he feels nervousness or he feels fear, but he really wants to do something, he knows it's going to be good for him. For him, it was like stunts. So it was genuine physical fear, but for us it's going to be more mental fear. If he really wants to do something, he counts down from 3, and he has a bond, a pact with himself that 3-second countdown is a binding contract. Once he starts counting down from 3 in his head, he has to do it by 1. He says 3, 2, 1, he does it. It's the same with anything. The problem a lot of people run into is they try and think their way out of fear. The only way out of fear is action. You have to physically get your legs and move them towards what you want to do. Your brain won't help you. You need to almost mute your brain and decide, right, I want to go and do this, so I'm going to move my legs towards it. Talking to a woman is a great one, right? You see a pretty girl at a bar, your brain says that's scary, she's probably got a boyfriend, her friends are watching. It gives you this big list of reasons not to do it. But inside, you kind of want to do it. So instead of reading this big list, you acknowledge it, say, yeah, it's a big list. Maybe that's true. But my legs are already carrying me over there. And oh, there she is, I'm talking to her. Take this to a business context. Job interviews, typically very nerve-wracking. They were nerve-wracking for me when I was first going to them. For me, the scariest part is arriving in your car and knowing you've got to get out of your car, walk into the office and meet everyone and be all charismatic and shit. The way to get over that is not give yourself time to think about it. 3, 2, 1, I'm out of the car. You pull in, put your car in park, open the door instantly. So you're out. You've got to get out of the car now. You're not gonna be that weird guy that opens the door and sits in his car and doesn't get out. Action is gonna break you through fear, and breaking through fear is gonna elevate your life. 3, 2, 1, you're doing it. If you got some value from this video, if you're gonna implement the 3, 2, 1 rule, thank you Steve-O, but mostly thank you me. Feel free to subscribe. I make videos like this every day, and I'll see you in the next one.